So we might have possibly had another hint that there is some DLC upcoming for Little Nightmares 2. Now, what I'm going to talk about is just a theory. It's not confirmed. I'm not saying it's absolutely confirmed that the DLC is on the way, although I hope that it is. But yeah, these are just my own opinions after we had another little clue or a little puzzle on the Little Nightmares 2 Twitter. So if you are still on Twitter, I don't know why you would be, but if you are still on Twitter, you might have seen that Little Nightmares 2 posted this little puzzle. They've done puzzles before. They did the spot the difference and things like that before, but they posted this little puzzle which says crack the code, and it's very, very easy to crack. If you look at the numbers on the right hand side and correspond them to the letters and put them in order 1 to 6, you spell out the word signal, which in itself doesn't really mean much. We know that the signal was a massive part of Little Nightmares 2, and this could just be a fun little teaser. Maybe the Little Nightmares 2 Twitter was like, hey, we haven't had much news lately, so let's just throw out a puzzle. Imagine doing that. You know, I definitely wouldn't do that. Not me. So maybe that's it. Maybe it was just a very simple, here's something fun. But the more I think about it, why would they go through the effort to create that for something that was solved in 2 minutes? I mean, listen, I'm not saying I'm the best at puzzles ever, but it took me 2 minutes to solve it. It really wasn't that tricky. And if you look at the comments, many people solved it incredibly quickly. So why go through all that effort to create the little video and post it up there if it was just for absolutely nothing? Which wouldn't be the first time that the Little Nightmares Twitter have given us red herrings out there. But I had a little look at it and I thought maybe there is more behind this. Maybe there is some deeper message or a deeper clue or a deeper code to crack. And I've been looking through it and I've been trying really, really hard to try and see if there is something concrete. And I can't figure out anything concrete, but in between the letters, there were a bunch of images, and I do think that potentially these images are hints. And the reason why I think that is they seem to be random at first, although a few of them are repeated, and some of them do seem to remind me of things from the comic. So my first thought was the boot and the bully. These are the first two images that you see, and this immediately made me think of the comic. In the episode of the comic, the chubby kid or the kid with a lollipop, his episode starts with a bully on the roof and they're holding on with their hands on the roof and somebody kicks them or stamps on their feet, either way, which causes them to fall. And this immediately with the boot and the bully just reminded me of that so much, which if you haven't seen the comics are, I don't want to say it's confirmed, especially with the timeline being so confusing in Little Nightmares 2, but it seems like the comics were set before Little Nightmares 2, especially when you take into consideration 6's part in the comics. So it seems like this was all happening before Little Nightmares 2. Now, if we take the DLC in Little Nightmares 1, the DLC in Little Nightmares 1 happened just slightly before Little Nightmares 1, but then it ran parallel. So it actually began a little bit before. And we know that the bedsheet rope that was already lowered when 6 got there in Little Nightmares 1 was lowered by the girl that we see in Little Nightmares 2. So it happened just a little bit before. So if we do get a DLC for Little Nightmares 2, it's possible that that could be something similar. But what's really interesting about the DLC or potential DLC for Little Nightmares 2 is that we have all of these characters in the comics and in the official artwork that never made it into the game. Well, I still think we've seen the chubby kid or heard the chubby kid in the school. But anyway, you never actually see these characters. So why would Tarsier go and develop 4 extra characters that never made it into the games, but made it into the comics? So a lot of people have speculated if we do get any DLC that it's going to focus on these characters. I mean, again, why would they be created if they weren't going to be used at some point? That being said, if this is a hint that we are going to get some DLC based on these characters, the boot and the bully might make sense. That could be a very subtle hint. Now, we also saw a padlock a couple of times, which padlocks appeared all the way through Little Nightmares 2. You know, there's a bunch of them in the game. One of Mono's big things was he holds a key. It's the first time Little Nightmares 1, 6 had to carry the key. It was kind of like a new feature in Little Nightmares 2 that Mono could put it away. But also, back to the comics again, in Mono's episode of the comics, the bunch of school kids, I believe, they look like school children, are trying to escape this burning building, and it's locked. It's padlocked. There is a clear padlock stopping them from getting out. So again, maybe a little hint towards that. I mean, these 2 bully images are also bullies that have their complete heads. Now, there were bullies in Little Nightmares 2 that did have complete heads, but a lot of them were cracked. So again, this is hinting it's hinting that it's stuff in the past. And then finally, another point I want to make is the music box. The music box is then there a couple of times too. But what's really interesting, and I've actually never thought about this myself, is the music box doesn't belong to Six. We know that Six left the nest and then she made her way to the Pale City. Well, she made her way to the Hunter's Island or area or whatever, which is nearby to the Pale City. And she had nothing on her when the Hunter caught her. So, and we know this from the comics. So she didn't bring the music box here, which means that the music box likely belonged to somebody else previously. Combine that with the fact that we see in the comics the scratch marks made by the Spoon Girl in the hospital. We also see them in the school and we see them in the Hunter's basement. These scratch marks are appearing everywhere. And again, people always say in videos like, oh, it could be anybody. It could be anybody. Absolutely. Sure. But the only person that we know 100% that does this is the Spoon Girl. So while it could be somebody else, and I've said maybe even Six has done it before, the only person that we know definitely does this is the Spoon Girl. So it's possible that the Spoon Girl has been in multiple locations. And, you know, these children that we see in the comics, we might potentially see their glitching remains, because there are glitching remains that appear very close to where a lot of these children die or go missing, especially the boy with the blindfold on. He gets taken by the Thin Man in the outhouse, and there's a glitching remains in the outhouse. There's a glitching remain in the hospital with the room with the scratch marks on and the hole, which is pretty much the room that the girl with the spoon digs out of. So it looks like these people are abducted and that could be their end, but we don't know their beginnings. We don't know where they've been previously. So it's entirely possible that we would be able to see their journey. And I don't know, something about me, there's just something in my mind that I still think that the Spoon Girl is still alive. I don't believe the doctor fully got her. I know he's behind her and he's stalking her, but I just there's a little feeling in the back of my head that she could have survived. I do think there is evidence that she's been in multiple locations throughout the Pale City, and maybe that's what we'll see. Maybe we'll just see that, but I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks she could be still alive. So anyway, I just thought I would go through this video. Have a look at the code yourself. Maybe you'll come up with something that I haven't. Again, it might just mean signal. Maybe there's no deeper meaning behind it. That would be a shame though, especially considering that we have had the website has been updated recently to show upcoming DLC. So I don't know. I think the Twitter account's gearing up. Oh, I do have one theory, actually. I do have one theory. The numbers, where's my notes? I made notes. The order of the numbers on the screen come out to 154326, which could mean, if we convert that to minutes, it could mean that we're getting an announcement for something in either one day. Wait, hang on. It could be 1 day, 18 hours, 52 minutes and 6 seconds, or it could be 15 weeks, 2 days, 4 hours and 6 minutes. So perhaps those numbers correspond to that. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I guess in a day and just under 18 hours, I guess we'll see if we get anything else. Yeah, that's it. Go watch the stuff. I have a new channel now. It's Tericho again. It's literally called It's Tericho again. If you want to search for it at the moment, for some reason, you need to put the apostrophe in. I guess because the channel's not that big, so YouTube hasn't indexed it properly. But it's there if you want movies and TV. I'm going to be uploading on there when I want to. If I have a video I want to make, I'm just going to upload it over there. That's as simple as that. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, not really bothered. I just want to talk about movies and TV shows. Sorry, I also like to talk about things that aren't Little Nightmares. And this channel, the algorithm says, no, only Little Nightmares. So sometimes I like to talk about other things. There you go. Do the usual things, sub, like, comment, whatever. I'm not really bothered. Do whatever you want to do. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.